Hi guys, it's Angie with Fun Endeavors Tie-Dye Lab. Today let's make a single geode gravity die. So I've made a couple of different geode gravity dies, but I haven't done a single geode gravity die yet. So let's try that one. I'm going to make the center of the geode up in the top portion of the shirt. So I've used a washable marker and kind of drawn an area where I'd like the center of the geode to be. I'm going to pinch that area and lift the shirt up off of the table so that it falls naturally. And I'm going to slide my hand down to where I want the very bottom or the end of the geode to be. And I'm going to start tying the geode from the bottom or the outer rings of the geode. I just think that makes it look a little bit more natural, not quite as much like a bullseye. If I grab like a center portion where I'd like to start the geode and I start tying there, it's really easy when I lift the shirt up and I kind of give it a shake for it to fall too naturally and end up looking more like just a bullseye. If you notice, after I tie a ring, I will kind of mess with the shirt a little bit. That's to make sure it doesn't get to looking too perfect. I want some of those wrinkles and odd little folds in the shirt. I'm also going to vary the distance between the lines. I think that looks more natural as well. By the way, this is a size 4X shirt, so I have a little bit of extra fabric to play with on this one. When I start to get close to where the center of the geode is going to be, I actually want to split the fabric and make 2 centers to my geode. So I'm going to pinch an area and just divide that away from the rest of it. I'm going to tie that area into a geode, and then when I get to the center of that geode, instead of cutting my sinew off, I'm going to wind it back to where I separated the fabric away and take the sinew the other direction and tie that portion. The closer that I'm getting to the center, if you notice, I'm messing with that fabric, kind of poking some of it down into the center and roughing it up a little bit. That's going to help keep it from being perfectly round and bullseye-like. Okay, I have wound my sinew back to the original line, and now I'm going to tie this area into a geode. I've zoomed in and I've slowed this portion of the video down so that you can hopefully see what I'm doing a little bit better. Now that I'm getting close to the center of this geode, I'm actually going to take my sinew right down through the center portion to split the center of this geode as well. All the messy folds and wrinkles, that's what makes the really cool effect in the geodes. It gives the interesting shapes and I think just makes it look more natural. This is definitely a fold that you don't need to try to be nice and clean with. The messier the better with this fold. For this shirt, I'm going to use reds and grays. I think those will look really cool together. I've taken the shirt outside and put it on top of a metal shelving unit that I have. I put the geode portion on top and I draped the other portion over the edge. That's the part that's going to be gravity dyed. I'm using some silicone cake molds to make myself an ice barrier around the shirt. I'm going to hold the cake molds up close to the shirt using some wooden clothespins, which I'm going to attach to the metal rack. I have a link down below in the description for this video to where I purchased the silicone cake molds. I also have quite a few other links down in that description to other tie-dye items that I use. I'm going to apply the dye to the various sections of the geode, and I'm going to use some of the colors more than once. I'm using cardinal red, Chinese red, brushed steel, and charcoal gray from Dharma Trading Company. I'm using Bordeaux from Pro Chemical and Dye, and I'm going to use Flintstone and Crimson Rose from Dye Spin. You can really see how much the super fine dye like brushed steel blows in the wind. This is why I always wear a respirator, even when I'm working with the dye outside, because I don't want to inhale that dye and get it in my lungs. The other geode shirts that I've done, I have dyed them in the muck. So the dye just kind of wicked down into the rest of the shirt. But so that I can encourage some of the dye to flow down the shirt, I'm going to place a little bit of each one of the colors kind of on the edge of the last sinew line. Then over the top of the dye, I'm going to add a generous sprinkle of dry soda ash. I'm going to add a lot of ice to the shirt, so I want to make sure I have a lot of soda ash remaining. Then I'm going to place on some large chunks of ice and put a plastic wash pan underneath the shirt to catch any of the runoff. I've included some photos of how the ice melted and ran down the shirt. I came back and added a second layer of ice and allowed it to melt as well. I kept adding ice until the dye was far enough down the shirt that I was happy with the way it looked. Before the shirt dried out, I took it and put it inside of a plastic container that has a metal rack down in the bottom and put the lid on the container and allowed the shirt to process outside in the heat. Then I took the shirt to my utility sink and I started rinsing it in cold water to rinse out the soda ash. Then I untied the shirt and warmed the water up to hot and continued rinsing to rinse out any of the excess dye that didn't bond with the fabric. Instead of continuing to rinse until the water was running almost clear, I put the shirt into a container along with a little bit of Blue Dawn dish detergent and some really hot water and allowed the shirt to soak. When the water cooled off, I changed it out and I continued that soaking process until the water was almost clear. I've added a few photos at the very end of the rinse out process to show you how much of the dye really comes out into the water. Then when that water was almost clear, I put the shirt along with some Dharma's Professional Textile Detergent into my washing machine and washed it using a hot water cycle. So the shirt has been washed and dried and ironed, and this is what it looks like. Okay, so what do you guys think? I think this one turned out really cool. I like it. I think it's very unique. It is a different look than the other two that I've done that are geodes. I really like the way the geode portion is real refined, and then all of the red colors, I don't know, the way they streak away from that center, it almost looks like kind of like a red sunflower. Like the geode portion is the center of the sunflower and the streaky parts are the petals. It's a cool effect. I really like that. And I love the red too. But I'm glad that I added in the gray because I think it gives the shirt some contrast. The grays that I used are really good to have good color splits as well. I like the back of the shirt too. I do have some areas where I have quite a bit of speckling, One of them is on the sleeve, especially on the back. It's not on the front so much, but it is on the back. There's one pretty large chunk of dye there. And then on the back down toward the bottom portion. As you could tell from the video, it was blowing quite a bit that day. So where I live, sometimes you end up with dye places you didn't intend to end up with dye. So I think maybe that's probably what happened there. Because this is a longer shirt, it was hanging further down, and I'm sure just some excess dye got in that area of the shirt that I didn't intend for it to go. Thankfully, it's on the back of the shirt, and it doesn't look horrible, but I wish it wasn't there. But overall, I think this is a really cool looking shirt. What do you guys think? Drop me some comments down below and let me know. Do you like the rack dyed geode, or do you like the muck dyed geode? I think with the rack dye geode, I got a lot more color splits on the gravity dye portion. With the muck dyed geodes, the muck just kind of ended up like getting wicked through the shirt, and the shirt for the most part below the sinew line was all one color. I'm not sure which one I like better. I think they're both really cool. I don't know, drop me some comments down below and let me know which one you like. And if you've enjoyed watching me experiment with this shirt, I sure would appreciate if you would like the video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a great day.